I know we've all heard of an agency, in particular marketing agencies, right? This is a pretty hot topic when it comes to anybody who wants to get their name out into the world. Call up a marketing agency. But what about an anti-agency? What the heck is that? Well, I have Chuck here today, and he's going to tell us a little bit about himself, why this matters to him, and why it should matter to you. Chuck, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Shauna. Appreciate having the time.
I'm so excited to dive in because this concept is mind blowing.
Yeah. Well, it all started about a year and a half ago. I've got a co-founder, managing partner in Adam Sinkus, and he and I have been actively involved with a Pay It Forward initiative. Got to know each other through Telegram, of all things. And I've worked with agencies off and on, and had an opportunity to start up another one. Couldn't think of anybody better than Adam Sinkus to work with to do that. But we decided we were going to be the anti-agency, meaning that we were going to do things differently from what the traditional agencies have been. Probably over my 35 years, I've probably either been involved with, hired and fired, or worked with, I would say, half a dozen agencies in my life. All of them very similar in some of the what I would call the toxic traits that agencies have a tendency to fall into. That is, the owner or the business development person comes in, romances a client, gets them to sign the SOW, most likely the owner if it's a smaller agency, and then all of a sudden, you never see them again. You see Joe Jr. Coming in and trying to do the work. One of the things that we do as a purpose partnership is we, on a weekly basis, are actively involved with our clients. They see us multiple times during the week. We have status updates once a week with them. We don't come in when the invoice is late or it's time to renew the statement of work. We're there all the time. The second part, which is probably even more important part of this, we have a team, what I call the Mission Impossible team, of subject matter experts in everything marketing. And when we sign an SOW, we have a certain set of deliverables that we're going to use for the client. We will look at our team and say, this makes sense. Shauna's good. Adam's good. But then we approach those team members and give them the opportunity to say yes or no to the opportunity to work with that client after they've got a chance to review it. 95% of the agencies come to their team and say, guess what, Shauna, we've got a brand new client and you're working on it. Whether you like it or not, you're working on it. We find that resonates with business prospects as well as clients once we get them started. That we have a very passionate, love the subject matter team working for them and with them on a daily basis.
So this already, I knew the concept, generally speaking, but already now I'm seeing both sides of how this anti-agency concept is actually pulling us forward with a progressive sort of mindset about how we're doing work. So not only are you there present in every single aspect of your client's journey, which is an immensely personalized experience, which helps you to leverage yourself as the expert, but then you're also empowering the people who are part of your team to be invested in the final product, which is going to boost the final product, right? That quality. So the anti-agency is essentially just empowering all parties to show up as their best selves.
Sure. Yeah. And agency owners love to talk the talk, I guess would be the best way to put it. Oh, we're shoulder to shoulder. There's no hierarchy. This is what it looks like. But in fact, there is a significant amount of hierarchy, and we break those barriers down. We truly, honestly do. Over the last, I'm thinking 6 months, we've had a content marketing subject matter expert that we've been working with, doing such a great job. We've elevated her to managing partner because we feel that she can do that work really, really well. We have other folks in content marketing that, I just want to write blogs and white papers. I don't want to be actively involved in financial decisions or branding or whatever it may be. We play to the old cliche. We play to their strengths, quite frankly, to be able to set stuff up and make it work well for them. And that's a reason the purpose partnership is called a purpose partnership. We are partners with our clients as opposed to vendors, because we hate that vendor term. And we're very purposeful. We've fired 3 clients over the last 18 months who either caused issues with not seeing the same path for what they wanted to do with marketing, or a team member came to us and said, you know what, this isn't working. This is just not a really good client for us. And, we had that conversation. So, we're very purposeful in who we are and what we do. The other thing we always say is we accent the positive and strip away the negatives. So we want our folks to come up, and Adam and I do this as well. Wake up in the morning and go, cool, I get a chance to work on X, Y, and Z. And we do that Monday through Friday. Most of the weekends are our weekends, but Monday through Friday for sure.
That's amazing, especially since, again, what I'm hearing is that you're able to, within this dynamic, you're able to work with dream clients, not just ideal clients, which is actually a topic of discussion that I've had in a past episode with a friend of mine. And she's a graphic designer, and she really was able to take that transition too and be able to make those choices. So in this capacity, you're now scaling that entrepreneurial decision of being able to work with dream people who are actually going to be in alignment with all the things that you do and all the things that your team wants to do.
Yeah, very, very, very much so. And the other thing is, we're entrepreneurs. I mean, we're 18 months old and we're scaling. We're a different agency than we were when we launched, by the way, on April 1st with the tagline, "Don't let the big agencies fool you."
That's fabulous.
We are definitely a different agency we were back then. It was 2.5 people basically, scaled up to like I said, the Mission Impossible bench. That we have some really fun people who work with us. And the other part of that is we're empowering those entrepreneurs who may be the content marketer, who may be, a website developer, or whatever it may be, to all of a sudden be part of a much bigger thing, which is a 10-person plus 2 intern organization. That they can talk to their potential clients and say, yeah, I'm part of this agency, and we've got, while I don't do this in particular, we do as a team. We can do website, we can do SEO, whatever that may be, while they're still doing what they really love to do.
And that's perfect. And this brings me actually to the other idea of you were talking about highlighting the positive and really stripping away some of those not so good things about what you're doing in business, but you take it a step further and you make it about life as well. Can you talk to me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, that's a big part of who we are as an agency and who we are as people. Adam and I in particular are mental health advocates. I mean, that's kind of the bottom line. Mental health at work is a DEI category. It's very, very important. I'm associated with an organization that is all about mental health for teams and CEOs. We use a scale of 1 to 5, and a 1 being I'm not doing great, all the way 5 to everything's sunshine and roses. We will start conversations with our team members, and the first thing we say is, "How are we doing today?" And if a team member comes in and says, "You know what, I'm a 2 or a 1," we'll stop that meeting and we'll say, basically, go take some time, Shauna, understand what's going on, or do you want to walk through the issues that you have and find out how we can help? So that's incredibly important for us. And we pick up on, Adam and I talk on probably 3 to 5 times a day, Monday through Friday. So he and I know when we're acting certain ways that it's a prompt to say, okay, wait a minute, let's stop for a second. What's going on? But it's incredibly important. There again, that's a talk the talk situation. There's a lot of agencies, corporations, associations, whatever you want to call them, that are out there saying, "Oh yeah, mental health's important, and and work-life balance is important." Those are the type of things. We live it. I mean, we truly, honestly live it. So if a team member is having issues, we'll say, "Look, you know what? We'll have somebody fill in for you for a couple of days. Take some time for you." And schedule time for you. That's the other part of that too. So that's a difficult thing to do because we have some really passionate people, and it's like, no, I'll put no. You don't push through. You take some time for you, and that's kind of the bottom line.
That's actually quite profound, and I'm going to argue, I mean, in my personal opinion, that's one of the reasons why you've been able to scale so quickly, because people want to be there. And if you want to be a part of the team, if you want to make these progressive steps, your mental health is going to be so much better, and you're going to be able to do those things comprehensively together as a team. That's quite amazing. Like, that warms my heart to hear. There are too many agencies, as you say, who are like, oh yeah, mental health and DEI, and it's like one of those black pictures on the wall with those bold words and a cute kitten on top. That's what they mean, right? But it's like, no, we're bringing this into action. This is what it looks like in our day-to-day. For those other agencies, it's yeah, we believe in it as long as it doesn't compromise our bottom line.
Right, exactly. Yeah, Shauna, you brought up, because it was probably what, the 80s or 90s, when it was the old kitten on the branch, and then the tagline, "Hang in there."
Yeah.
I never, best way to describe it, I never want one of my associates, team members, to be that kitten. Lack of a better way to put that. So for sure, yeah, absolutely.
Can you? And isn't it so hypocritical, right? Just to think of this cat dangling from a branch, and you're like, no, you'll be fine. Come on. This is the strength of the anti-agency. And I'm just going to circle right back around, because you were talking about paying it forward. And I happen to have a mom who loves that movie, the Pay It Forward movie, which is heartbreaking, by the way. If you haven't seen it, you need to see it, but be prepared with a box of tissues. Tell me a little bit more about how you're doing that over and above, of course, just this anti-agency structure and the shift from being bottom line focused to being team focused, collaborative, and incidentally increasing your bottom line as a result.
Yeah, there is no doubt. I mean, I've been a pay it forward advocate for probably 15 years. That's part of my brand as who I am and what I do, and that's where Pay It Forward Tuesdays comes in, which is our mentoring organization of six executives that help underserved 501c3s and up and coming startups. But I always talk about paying it forward, and as a matter of fact, I've got a presentation on paying it forward in the community to build brand equity. And that's a big aspect of, when you're in a community and you're genuinely in the community, not just writing a check, it reflects back on your organization as well. But the biggest thing I talk about, and we've surrounded ourselves with folks who are all about, our brand and what we're doing, mental health, paying it forward, doing the right passionate thing for our clients. The best way to describe it is pay it forward is a habit. I mean, you're already like, you do a favor somebody and you get a favor back. Well, that's the first half, is the habit that you've already got. So all you've got to do is now pay it forward to somebody else, as opposed to directly back to Shauna. That's a good idea. But yeah, it becomes part of your DNA. It truly, honestly does. We do 2 different pro bono accounts that we're working on right now. That's just kind of where we are and what we do. We work with an arts council in Dallas. We also work with a startup organization, ironically, in Dallas as well, but they run Startup Week Dallas. But we're working with those type of folks. I do a lot of work with the American Marketing Association in the Triangle, and there's folks that, I'm out of work. This is what it looks like. Without naming names, I've got 3 that have approached me. Hey, I'm out of work right now. Well, guess what? We have work for you. We'll find work for you, and let's see where that goes. And so we're having a ball doing that. I mean, that's I don't even. You get to the point, and with paying forward, that it becomes such a habit, you don't even think about it sometimes that you're doing it. You just do it. I mean, that's the bottom line. But the bigger thing, and it's the old word cloud thing. If I see certain opportunities, it's almost like it just pops out of the word cloud that, oh, there's some place I can also help to be able to do that. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I love that you said there that it becomes automatic, because really that's what a habit is. It's something that you don't even need to think about. And so it's just instinctive. It's reflexive. You just do it automatically. I love that so much. And I heard you say something else that might be of interest to our listeners today. You were talking about brand equity. Can we talk about what that means and how this pay it forward strategy really influences that?
Yeah, it's a longer, deeper story, but I'll see if I can shortcut it. I used to work with iContact. I was the first director of communications. We built what was known as the 4 Ones, which is a program to go into the community: equity, time, and the like. The time was the most important aspect of it, and where that goes. So brand equity in the community is different than, okay, I'm going to write a check to the food bank. That's the bottom line. You work within organizations or folks in your community. A good example, shout out to a gentleman named Danny Rosen at Brand Fuel. Look him up. He's my Pay It Forward mentor, but he runs a charity concert every year called Band Together in the Raleigh Triangle area. And through that organization, they raise $1 million a year for one charity or a series of charities. But it really comes down to there's a difference between sending a check to the ASPCA and going down to the shelter and volunteering. You don't do paying it forward in the community in order to say, look at me, here's what's going on. And a lot of times we work with clients and say, look, if you're going to do some paying it forward work, you're highlighting the people you're working with. You're not highlighting the fact that your people work with them. And that's the bigger difference. What that has a tendency to do, and we and several of our team members who are in Raleigh have that reputation, and it has served us well. There's no doubt about it. Do we do it in order to build brand equity? No, it's more, that's not the primary, but it's a excellent benefit from what we do. So I work with clients in particular on one-on-one basis, but also us as an organization work with clients on how to do what is known as CSR work, corporate social responsibility. How do you do that? Well, you don't blow up a check and go down to the food bank and give it to them and walk away. You go to the food bank and you volunteer and you get team building in the process and make yourself known in the community and make yourself available. So that's the bottom line.
I am floored. to say the least, because this is actually something that's very near and dear to my heart, and I have been trying to figure out how I fit into that picture, and how I would, as a business owner, fit into that picture. And some of the ways that I've been doing that are things like volunteering on a board of directors for a local community center, and I do, though, cut a check to other places as well. And the more you speak to me about this, the more I think, like, what more can I do? How can I contribute more? Because, I mean, I have a small family. I have to run my business. I'm also doing a number of other things. So I don't want to be that person who just cuts a check. But at the same time, I need to balance all of these things. When you're talking to your team, and I'm just putting myself into your team's position right now. When you're talking to your team and they want to do that sort of thing, but like me, they're quite, like, they've got a lot going on, let's say. What would your advice be? How would you advise people to either be empowered for the check that they are cutting, like, and at least you're doing that much, or conversely, what are some solutions? How can we actually take a step back from our busy day-to-day and contribute in a more meaningful way?
I'll give you a principle that I stand by and use a lot. It's called the small big. And I'll give you an example. Basically what it is, Shauna's out of work. She comes to me and says, can you introduce me to, Adam Sinkus, who you know? This will make a difference because I'm considering a potential job there, or whatever it looks. It takes me 5 minutes to make that introduction. For Shauna, you just made her day because she couldn't get through to him. This is not what it works. So look for the small bigs, because, I've got hundreds of stories. Good example, somebody in the parking lot of an emergency center and the person can't find the money to pay for the meter, and you pay for the meter for them. Find out, fast forward later, that their mom was upstairs dying, and it was a chance for them to see them. It would not have happened. Look, for you to put 50 cents in a meter and they get to go upstairs and see their mom one last time, that's kind of the essence of it, if you will. But look for opportunities that present themselves. I mean, the folks that I consider mentors, Danny Rosen was mentioned, Craig Newmark, large variety of people who don't hesitate to answer a quick email. I mean, it takes 5 minutes to do X. Answer an email. Can you share the fact that I'm looking? A lot of people are doing this and doing it well. Like, for instance, on LinkedIn, hey, I'm out of work. Here's what's going on. If you can share this information. How long does it take for you to share that post? 3 clicks, 2 clicks, whatever it may be. You made that person's day, and they may have, in fact, found their next job as a result. You're not their recruiter, but at the same time, you're expanding their network for folks they have in AOC.
Small bigs.
Small big. Love that concept.
So this is now going to be my kitten poster. You know that, right?
Right.
For the small bigs.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. So we've covered a lot of ground here in this conversation, from anti-agency to how are we actually implementing a positive work environment and a positive life environment, to real meaningful and impactful decisions that we make in our day-to-day that will allow us to pay it forward to others who need it whenever they need it. Are there any sugar-coated last thoughts that you have to share with the community? And then also, of course, tell people how to reach out to you, because I think after this talk, you're going to have a few calls.
Yeah. In addition to running the agency, I'm a LinkedIn speaker trainer. Have been doing that for 15 plus years. So if there are organizations that need help in that regard, you can catch me at linkedin.com/n/Chuck Esser, which is scrolling across. If you're an organization who is struggling with marketing or dealing with a agency or vendor who is heartless, is the best way to describe that. Love to have you have that conversation with us about a passionate, heartful team that could potentially help you out. And then the final thing is, if you're a solopreneur or somebody who's really good at what they do, but doesn't have an agency structure, love to talk to you about how we potentially could work together. And then finally, if the folks who are doing some of the work in marketing, but not all of the work, love to talk to them about affiliates as well. So that's the bottom line.
All amazing opportunities for everybody in our space here today. Chuck, thank you so much for joining me with this conversation. It was just so wholesome and action-oriented and filled with gold nuggets that if you haven't taken notes, audience, if you have not taken notes and then made a plan to take action, go back and watch it again with a notebook, because this is the way to be, in my not so humble opinion. With that, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, don't forget to share and follow and do all the cool things that make you the amazing audience that you are. Join us next week, because we've got more really cool conversations just like this. Chuck, thanks again for joining us today. We will chat soon.
Thanks, Shauna. It was my pleasure.